Nutrition Innovation Summit. And today, the topic of the session is the Fireside Chat with Mr. Rohit Tipnis. He is a Senior Director, Sales and Technical Service, ASEAN region for Ingredion Singapore Private Limited. It's our pleasure to have Mr. You are with us today for this session. And today, we are going to talk about more insights on the ingredients and how in the current times when the food and nutrition are taking a lot of space and a lot of advancement in terms of technology, innovations, a lot of startups coming into this place, a lot of focus is from consumers and companies on this space and how ingredients are playing a very critical role in developing and supporting those new age innovations, new food categories are getting developed and what role they are playing. With this background, this session has been planned out, and before moving to the session, I would like to briefly introduce our audience with Mr. Rohit, his background. So he has more than 25 years of experience in B2B industry, be it food, pharma, cosmetics in South Asia and Asia Pacific region. He has worked with MNCs in different roles in business, marketing, technical roles like Roche and DSM, nutrition business. He is also associated with the Gambia, CP Calco, and currently working as Senior Director for Southeast Asia plus India subcontinent region. He has also led and managed multicultural team across the region and lived in Thailand and currently based in Singapore for the past 10 years. To support this session, I also have our even partner, Mr. Rinka Banerjee. She is the founding daughter and director for Thinking for Consulting. And she is the end-to-end R&D solution provider to the food and beverage industry. Thinking Fox has helped more than 40 companies launch more than 100 products in the last 7 years. Prior to starting her own venture, she worked with Unilever for 16 years, where she worked on several F&B categories and was the director R&D at the Foods for South Asia for 5 years. And prior to Unilever, she worked with the International Food Network out of Ithaca, New York, and worked on brands like Haagen-Dazs and Slim Fast. With this, I request Rinka to take the discussion forward. And just a small request to all the participants who are viewing the session. Should you have any question for Mr. Rohit Tipnis or for Rinka or for Vicky, just please put it in the chat box. We will try to address them during the Q&A session. Over to you, Rinka.
Great. Thank you so much, Abhinav, and good afternoon to everybody, and good evening to Rohit. I know it's the end of a working day for you, based out of Singapore, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to have you, part of the session, to have this fireside chat. I think one of the things that we see and we know, and I, as part of Thinking Folks, we've been working with so many different ingredient companies and with Ingredion as well. And we do see that some of the biggest changes that we're seeing in consumer trends today in terms of looking at health and nutrition products, whether it is protein, whether it is, fortified products, or it is people looking for cleaner label foods, functional foods, and so on. So there is a lot that is going out there in terms of the consumer demand. I think post-COVID, that has been an even bigger, requirement from consumers. And we did hear a lot about that yesterday in our various sessions as well. So I think what I would maybe like to start with is really to ask a question to you, Rohit. From an ingredient perspective, right, and from companies such as yourselves, what are some of the biggest major, I would say, consumer and market trends you are seeing in the industry? And are you seeing some specific asks that you're getting from customers?
Right. First, again, thanks, Abhinav, for this kind introduction, and it's actually a pleasure to interact with the customers or people from India. Actually, since I've taken this role, I actually haven't been to India, right, and I haven't really been to Mumbai since 2018. So it's been a while, and this new situation has kind of made it very difficult to interact. But I guess going forward, digital is probably going to be our way to kind of communicate. So look, coming to ingredients, as Abhinav mentioned, there has been a big shift in what companies or multinational companies have been doing, since, I've been associated with B2B industry since 1996. I guess the biggest shift I have seen is, in the late 90s or the early 2000s, companies actually launch products to suit maybe their manufacturing capacity, their R&D capability, but it wasn't really suited to what are the trends or needs in particular. It was very much, let me put it very bluntly, it was very much US driven, right? Whatever US wanted, companies would basically launch, and they were it was fitting to their requirements, and then unfortunately the other countries said, okay, this is what we have to offer. And sometimes these things would work, but when you come into cost per serving, or it wasn't really the most ideal thing. But today, I guess companies are changing. They're actually thinking more about what are the trends. Today, I can, being a part of the ingredient industry, I can say that a lot of new development work is happening based on what are the needs, what are the needs, what are the consumer needs that is taking place. And really, Rinka, you mentioned there has been a drastic change into the way the formulators and the ingredient companies are looking, especially since COVID happened, right? So I would kind of flag a couple of things that I have seen. People are actually looking at nutritional labels. I know personally, as being in this industry, I always used to do that 20 years back. But when I used to check with my friends or even with my family, guys, do you know what we are buying? People would say they hardly read, what's there on the pack. Those things are changing. We see, and Ingredion has actually done some sort of survey, a consumer survey with a smaller group, just to basically understand a bit of the buying behaviors. People are actually now looking whether the labels are clean, right? I mean, they want to have less of E numbers. So again, this is a good challenge to the formulators, because once they are spending money on R&D, this is what we see. So within Ingredion, we are putting a lot of focus on things like clean labeling, right? I mean, we want to have it, I mean, when you talk about starch modifications, we tried that for at least for the clean label, no chemicals are used. So that will basically really help in terms of a consumer preference. We are actually seeing a lot of things on low sugar. That's something now it's not a new trend, I would say, but more and more people are becoming conscious. They are trying to look at products which has low sugar. They're looking at things like high protein, whether it's adding more protein. And again, protein is something very important in a way, because traditionally, if you also see that in India, it's a vegetarian driven diet, right? And I'm not saying, I'm not debating here with nutritionists that vegetarian food doesn't contribute to proteins. Yes, it does, but the amount of vegetarian food, the quantity that you need to consume, probably is not the same as one would get by eating meat, right? So I guess that's where things like high protein things, which are actually now moving out of just sports category. They are really getting into children's category, right? I actually saw in one of the that there was a new brand recently launched in India targeting kids with high proteins, which actually came from plant based. And also interestingly, sugar was replaced by jaggery. So a lot of innovations are happening in this space, Rinka. Yeah. And I think it's a great time for companies to be looking at this area.
Absolutely, and I think this is one of the reasons why we also thought about this forum, to really bring formulators, innovators, so business owners and ingredient companies and so on, to really bring about how the technologies can, how can you collaborate to be able to bring solutions out in the market. And we really, really would like to thank Ingredion, in fact, for partnering with us at this event. And that is, in some way, they always feel that that's a good validation of the fact that we all believe as an ecosystem that we need to work together to be able to come up with solutions.
Absolutely.
So really appreciate Ingredion sponsoring us at this event, and thank you very much for that. What I'll do right now is I will share screen with the presentation you have, Rohit, and then we will take questions after that. Yeah.
And look, Rinka, let's make it interactive. If there is, any questions that people have posted, I'm happy. We can interrupt. We can have a discussion. I can try and address whatever I can. If there is something more specific, then I can always come back later. But yeah, let's not just make it a monologue. But we'll appreciate if if there are any specific questions.
Sure. Yeah. Just give me 1 second. Can you see my screen?
I can see the screen, but it's.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
All right. All right. So I'll quickly, I mean, I have a few slides, and before it's also a good opportunity to introduce the participants about who we are, right? Because interestingly, Ingredion has been in this business for a long time, but Ingredion is really what happened about 10 years back was Corn Products US and National Starch UK. They actually got together, and Ingredion was so a lot of people who've been in the business would probably know Ingredion more as a national starch business, but we have evolved, and that's probably something that I will quickly walk you through this 20 minutes. Yeah, Rika, you can move to the next slide.
Just yeah. You see it?
All right. Yeah. It may be a little bit wordy, but again, I'm probably not going to read everything in this, but you can probably post this presentation as well, Rinka. So what are we, right? I mean, we are a global company. So that's and again, what I mentioned is we are built on the rich legacy of corn products and national starch. But over a period of time, we've also been acquiring certain companies because we really wanted to kind of increase our footprint in the space of nutrition and wellness, right? Geographically, we are a global company. We are present in most of the key markets in the world, and what we really thrive on is really about our high quality, our innovation solutions that we can talk about in the subsequent slide. So again, a quick snapshot about a little bit financials, and I can share this because we are a publicly listed company. We are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So we have about we are about a $6 billion ingredient company. We have more than 18,000 customers. We have a very talented employee of 12,000 plus. We've actually got about 32 innovation centers or idea labs, as they call it. We headquartered in Chicago. And so, yeah, that's again something. And we are actually present. The key industries that we focus on is really food, beverage, and brewing and animal nutrition, and also industrial markets for paper industry. Yeah. So this is what again I was talking about, that even after corn products and national starch got together, we haven't stopped our acquisitions, right? So we continue to basically buy companies. We bought companies like Penford in 2014, which were into potato based ingredients. So we are quite natural. Then we also came to we also understood that to have a complete solution, we also need some sort of hydrocolloid. So we actually went ahead and acquired pig gums in the US. We continue to expand on our plant-based proteins and and potato starch. Our latest acquisition being Pure Circle in 2020, which is basically on on the stevia range. Now with sugar reduction and with Pure Circle at the moment, it's still been run as a separate business because Ingredion has actually acquired 70% of the. So the teams, we are collaborating, in terms of technical collaborations, but in terms of business people, it's still run as a separate company. But hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, once Ingredion does buy the balance 30% of the share, then it will probably be more integrated. But again, today also we work more as a team. We do exchange ideas because one thing we've noticed in when there is sugar reduction, when there is a drop in the body, right? I mean, we talk about formulation where sugar does sometimes add to the body, but that's where our solutions coming from our pig gum side actually help to build back the body for for better consumer preference. Yeah, Rinka, you can move to the next slide. So what's our what's our value proposition, right? I mean, people might say, oh, are you actually just another ingredient company? So we can try to say that we really work, we are always aligned with food and beverage trends. We are constantly working with the Mintels of the world, understanding trends, talk to our customers, not just on a product development, but we also engaged in a lot of activities with marketing, with product development, to really see or understand what is our customer looking at the next 3 to 5 years, right? Because we believe that if our customers are working in certain direction, that's where we need to be aligned. So we obviously, as I mentioned in the previous slide, we are working with a base of almost 18,000 customers globally. So we do have a lot of customer intimacy, global reach, innovations. Also, we try to build up from ideas to solution, because we can talk about healthy nutrition, but we need to also understand that the food still needs to taste better, right? The food, you can add the best of health and wellness ingredient, but if the food doesn't really taste good, the texture is not good, the consumers are not really going to buy, right? We do have an experience, solution providers. We have a good people with food science and application background. We also have culinary kitchens, and we may not have it in all the countries, but in the regional setup, we actually have cooks who kind of try to build up products to enhance consumer experience. So we do invite a lot of customers into our application labs, where we share, with the texture of foods, and then that kind of gives them ideas into the product development. And again, being a multinational US company, we have an extremely highly reliable and trusted sourcing. Yeah, Rinka, you can move to the next slide. I think, okay. Did we miss one slide, Rinka?
Okay.
It just went quickly, so yeah. Again, I think what's also important to understand is, why do we have competitive advantage and our capabilities, right? Because we are clearly not in the business of of just selling ingredients, because that becomes a very commodity business, right? So we are constantly, we do have an extensive life of highly quality, and we keep on making changes. We keep on tweaking our products. We actually withdraw some products which we think that are not making the cut to the next level of development. And again, we have a strong geographical presence all over, globally. We are doing constant, global engineering, and bringing more resources. And the most important thing is that we do wear a customer-centric mindset. I guess that's the key to, really understand on what really our customers need. So why are we good? And again, I won't read through everything, but again, we do believe and that safety is something which is very critical, because we are running extremely huge plants, and we need to also ensure that by running those plants, we are actually running with extremely, we give a lot of priority to our safety standards. And I can tell you that safety KPI is actually inbuilt in our goals, right? And I can even tell you that in 2020 we had some minor accidents, but the entire leadership team basically said that it was from the it did impact their KPIs. So we don't leave anything for safety. I think safety is very critical, right? Obviously, we do understand in our business that we need to have our plants on a regional level, but we need to also basically depend on a lot of global supply chain team. And why is this important? Because a lot of our things are agri-based products, right? Because we have plants in Thailand, which basically we manufacture our tapioca-based starch from Thailand, and that's again very regionally driven. Corn, I mean, yes, corn is something it's huge in the US. So we do have our corn production in the US, but we also source corn from different places in India. So we do source corn from India, we do source corn from China. because we need to also understand that in today's environment, you cannot be dependent on just one, one source or one plant. So we're trying to make, utilize and focus on our network optimization so that customers don't have to be, don't have to suffer in today's time where supply chain has become a big challenge, right? We are extremely customer focused. Sorry, I think it's moving.
Sorry.
Yeah. We are customer focused. That's why we have local regional offices, local. We have country teams. We have we have our own warehouses. We have our own business and technical teams, basically serving both the regional and local markets. We continue commitment to quality. That's absolutely non-negotiable. And of course, there is a culture. Ingredion has a strong culture on continuous improvement. So that's something that we will continue to do. What is more important is focus on sustainability, right? I think that's something that we will continue to drive because a lot of our businesses are driven, as I've mentioned, from agri. It's plant-based. We work a lot with local farmers. So I guess this really means that we have to really do a lot of things in terms of environmental conservation and protection, because that's something that is really on top of our mind. Yeah. So what's a roadmap, right? I mean, we talked about driving growth. We talked about things like consumer co-creation, and I'll talk about consumer co-creation and preferences. But we basically realized that our core business, which was on starch-based texturizers, and don't get me wrong, that's still a very important part of the business. But when Ingredion looked at our strategy, we looked at our 5-year plan, and we said that, look, we need to start growing our specialty growth platforms. And that's where we identified clean and simple ingredients, right? Ingredients without any E numbers. I think that's one of our bigger growth platform which is now really growing. Plant-based protein, the base is small, but I can tell you that this business will grow as we go ahead. Sugar reduction, that's also clearly with the health and wellness that's becoming so critical. I guess sugar reduction is becoming an important platform either. And the fourth one is food systems, and that's where what food systems is basically nothing but making customized blends, making blends which because it also becomes, from a supply chain perspective, it becomes difficult for our customers to buy 4 or 5 ingredients for a solution. So what we try to do is, that's where we work with customers. We try to, develop specific systems for applications, whether it's for sweetened condensed milk, whether it's for, so customers, for customers, it becomes easy in terms of managing, the taste and the delivery method. Yeah. So what's our? I see there are a lot of questions. So maybe I don't know, Rinka, should we kind of address on the questions now, or we come?
We can just finish the presentation and we'll come to questions.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So when I look at ingredient portfolio, I know we really looked at some of the key consumer trends, right? We talked about simple ingredients. People want non-complicated. They want something that's more convenient. They want something which is clean label, non-organic and non-GMO. They want something with reduced sugar, and of course plant-based proteins, right? I mean, plant-based protein, again, what are the sources, right? Pulses. So there are different ways that solutions that we try to bring to our consumers. Yeah. Next. Yeah.
This is the last, I think.
Is this the last? No, there should be a few more.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
All right. So looking again, I don't want to sound too repetitive, but clearly what our company does are, we how does our center of strategy work? Because we do listen to consumer trends. We try to bring those benefits into our ideation labs, in different parts, and then we look at our portfolio. We look at our solutions. What do we have? We try to replicate that in terms of prototypes in our labs, and then we kind of based on the technology that we have, we offer our solutions to our consumer. Yeah, you can move. Again, so it's very important that food science is but we try to make this a little bit more artistic. So we basically do a lot of fusion with our culinary experts. We have culinary teams in Singapore, which kind of works on different forms, and try to develop prototypes. So we actually invite our customers for lunch, and we kind of serve foods, which is something that then they would try to replicate that in their whether they are from food services or whether they are from a retail side of the business, right? We then really focus more on sensory. We talk about is it good, and we are not saying that we hit it right the first time. So there is obviously things that we need to do on a continuous basis so that it really fits into the real texture what the consumers eventually aspire for. Yeah. Again, this is a very wordy slide. I won't talk about it, but just a quick snapshot about what our specialty ingredients are, right? So we have our specialty starches, which I mentioned. We derive them. Everything is agri-based, right? So it's derived from things like corn, potato, rice, tapioca. So that's really the key that works in foods, bakery, confectionery. We talk about flours. I've seen that we make flours from rice, from pulses. Again, clean labels that can be actually used in gluten-free food. Probiotics is something that we are getting into, for soluble fibers. There were some questions on the proteins, right? So we are, and then maybe we don't probably have proteins for all these solutions today, but we are constantly working on things like pulses from dried beans, from lentils, chickpeas, which actually can be used in things like cereals and snack food. So we are probably, uh, we still probably have to be, we are still developing more application-based things which will come in the future, right? Hydrocolloids, typically things like carrageenan, guar, again coming from agri side of the business, more so to make things, more from the textural perspective about keeping things smooth and moist and looking more appealing. And of course, stevia and sweeteners are something that is added now into that. It's still a very small part of our business, but hopefully with the addition of Pure Circle into the team, this is where we can start, building a more bigger, consumer base. That's just a quick snapshot. So I won't, spend time here. So these is a little bit high level on, what type of starches, natural based sweeteners, and other pulses that we are offering at the moment. Yeah. So coming a little bit about things what we are doing in India, right? Because I guess India for us is a growing market. It's a very critical market. So again, a quick snapshot. What are the current areas that we are working on? I mean, clearly things like mayonnaise, salad dressings are one of our biggest segments. Sauces, but it's spread wide across, right from bakery goods to instant soups, dairy, snacks and batter and breadings, confectionery. You can probably see that we are still not strong in beverages, and that's maybe the area that we will probably need to start building on as we go ahead. But these are really and the existing categories where we are we have a good customer base, and we are constantly working with new customers on projects. Yeah. So again, just coming to the last couple of slides, we are, we do understand that now things are improving, and I keep my fingers crossed that hopefully sometime in 2022, I can probably come back and work more closely with the India team to basically work on co-creating different projects. But at the moment, we continue to do so in a digital way. We've been doing a lot of virtual customer engagements. We actually did more in the region. We did more than 145 customer engagements in the last 3 months. So I think this customers are also they do realize that before face-to-face meetings start again, this is something that they are appreciating, so that we can actually bring innovation even closer to our customer. Yeah. Let me then quickly introduce our extremely talented team that we have, and I am sure that you probably know most of them. But just a quick, we have Shiva, who is our country head, and then we have a team of Ayan, who basically manages, the business development activities. Deepak is also working on, is a new member to our team. I wouldn't say new member, he went out to get some training, but he's now back with us. And then we have Priya, who's based in Delhi, looking after our accounts there. And well supported by Nikita, who's into customer service, and of course Brijesh and Sandeep are really managing our technical activities in India. So you can probably see that we are well supported in our operations and in India. And wherever the technical team needs support, they basically reach out to our Singapore offices. Yeah, so where we can kind of provide more. We have a more a strong application and technical support, which can always work with the India team.
Great.
Right. So that's my last slide, Rinka. I think then we can probably open up for questions.
Yeah, I will just.
And again, maybe from just to kind of set the things right. I'm not a technical person, so maybe I might not be able to answer that. But if somebody from the Ingredion team, Brijesh, or if you are in, you please please pitch in.
Right. Okay, so I mean there are a lot of questions, but
Yeah.
Maybe before I get into the questions that came from the chat box, maybe one question, Rohit, is also the impact of COVID-19 overall in terms of servicing the industry, right? Because I think we've seen obviously significant issues in terms of supply chain,
Right.
in terms of availability of materials, and therefore prices going up. And we've seen this in proteins, we've seen this in various other food formats. And therefore, formulators, it has been a challenge to be able to develop products with the right price, especially post-COVID. So any thoughts around that, how you as a company are managing that piece,
Right.
in terms of really managing the supply chain challenge that we're facing today?
No, look, I think Rinka, that's really a very good question, and this is what we've been facing for the last 12 months in terms of this problem is real, and I can probably spend 5 minutes really explaining to people why the problem is, right? Because a lot of our corn-based products are coming from the US, and US is actually going through, you'll be very surprised, they're going through a lot of labor challenges. So um, there is, and typically the plants in US, lot, and I'm probably not just Ingredion, but just the overall industry, I can say. A lot of plants in the US are actually centered around mid or midwest of US. So basically, when you talk about supply chain problems, the way you need to reach to the port is via railroad, right? So the railroads basically, the rail network actually takes you to either LA, or it takes you to the East Coast, to New York and Vancouver. there is a tremendous backlog of containers in the ports in US, and railroads are not actually accepting any more containers to go because there is no place to keep. So that's becoming a huge problem that the containers are piling up. There aren't sufficient vessels available to basically ferry the things through. So what are the options, right? So we started looking at trucking, right? Trucking. And believe it or not, trucking is now, is becoming one of the most lucrative professions in the US. And I was actually talking to somebody in the US who says that uh, truckers, believe it or not, they are now making more than $100,000 a month for 4 trips. So I said we are all in the wrong business. You should all go to the US and start driving, and because it's incredible. They people are actually choosing not to even, if somebody says I'm happy with making 3 trips and I don't want to work any further, it's happening. So the cost is going up, right? The cost of is going up. There are certain energy costs that is also happening. So overall, it's not a situation that is both for us and for our consumers, right? I mean, I've just stepped out from another call which was again on supply related, but there are things which are becoming very difficult. So what are we doing about it, right? I mean, this is just I don't want to pay post this is reality, and this will probably even continue in 2022. So what Ingredion is doing is now we are actually investing, and this is in public domain, so we are investing about $100 million in expanding our plants in China. What does that do? Does that solve the problem? To an extent, yes, because the sailing time from the US is now basically getting, I mean, first is getting a slot on the vessel, and then another 4 or 5 weeks to basically before it can come to India, right? China to India, it's a bit faster, right? You reduce the pressure on that. The other thing is that we are also trying to see if we can develop, or expand our capacity in our plants in Thailand so that we can convert. Now, again, you need to understand Thailand is more of a tapioca base, so it may not be an apple to apple conversion, but we are starting to work with our customers to basically, offer solutions which are more within the region. Because if the supply chain, you're right, if supply chain is not right, then whatever solution we may have, it will probably not work, in terms of affordability, cost per use, and also sustainable supply, right? So there are things that we as a company are continuing to basically work on.
Right. I think what I'll do with this is really jump into questions, but there are quite a few of them. So some are very technical and maybe that can be answered at the booth as well. Yeah. So do reach out to Ingredion at the booth and ask these questions also. But I think one of the questions is about how big do you think is this whole natural sugar market, and what are the latest trends you're seeing in that industry?
Look, the market, if I really look at the sugar, the total global market, I may not have the number for India, but the global market is probably easily within, it's about, could be around $2 or $3 billion, right? The question is that, uh, is it the right fit? I think we tend to look at markets whether there is a potential of it. But I can tell you, even in a country like India, depending on the now the question is, and again this is something that probably could have been answered better by my colleagues from Pure Circle. But the question is, yes, we can reduce sugar, right? But the question is that the stevia or an equivalent product will probably not be at the same price. So it's kind of difficult to say that what is the market size of it, because we need to also understand what is the end application, or what is the cost per serve. So once we understand that better, but I might not put a number, but I can say that even in India, I would say in the next 3 to 4 years, this industry can very easily be about $100 million industry, right?
Absolutely. And I think just to add to what you're saying, I think we are, having worked in this whole sector as well ourselves, and we're seeing that a lot of, requests that we get from different customers. And this is largely based on consumers saying that I don't want necessarily things with artificial sweeteners. I want to make natural solutions. I want to be switching over to cleaner solutions. So I think that is absolutely in the right direction.
Right.
I have the next question for you, which is on specialty ingredients you would add to enhance nutrition while maintaining flavor in beverages like tea and coffee, and also juices and smoothies. From the portfolio, I mean, and I'm sure this is a space that you're working on as well. So what are some of the ingredients that go in for managing both the nutrition, flavor, and textures and so on in these categories?
Right. Look, I mean, from a nutritional perspective, we are still early entrants. As I said, that we are now, working towards getting more projects in plant-based protein. So that from a nutrition side, and then of course we are also looking at investing in fiber business, right? So that's from the nutrition side. But the challenges is, and that's it's not about getting the products. It's about ensuring that these products are they work in the end application, right? Because the challenges are always into beverages, right? I mean, when you talk about beverages, you talk about solubility, you talk about the ingredients not settling down at the bottom of the so there needs to be a consistency in that. Sometimes when you reduce sugar, then the body of the product changes. So that's where sometimes it's not maybe one ingredients, but as a company, what we can do is we can kind of design products. We can design blends with certain hydrocolloids, whether it could be in pectin or some of the other hydrocolloids, which can help in terms of protein protection, because a lot of things go hand in hand, right? If you want to add proteins in it, then you need to ensure that the proteins are actually still bioavailable and it's protected by the so if there is anything specific, then we can certainly work with our application and technical team to kind of see that if as I said, beverage is still not something that we are we have a lot of solutions, but we are working towards that. So that's an area where we will have some opportunities as we go forward.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think one of the things that I would really like some of the listeners who are in this space, and I'm sure a lot of the food formulators I can make out from the questions, is really to look at a systems approach. And that is what you guys are also good at in terms of really putting a systems approach, which is with a starch or a protein and a sweetener and all of that. So really to work as a systems kind of a solution, rather than saying I want a protein and I want to go to this company and I want a sweetener, I go to that company. That can be quite complicated and difficult to manage. So I think this is something that you guys are good at, and I think that's something that I would really urge more people to reach out to. I have a question here, and this is more on, there are a lot of products out there with Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine products. And is there anything that you're doing in terms of solving the whole issues that they come, like bitterness masking and things like that, which is there with some flavor houses, but I'm not sure if you all are working in that space. Do you see any business?
We have started to, because in as I said, with our acquisition of Pure Circle, they do have certain products which can try and resolve some of these flavor related masking things. But again, it's early days for us in this particular business.
Right. I think there's another question on beverages. Do you have fully soluble plant proteins for beverages? I think there's a lot of beverage questions coming up.
Correct.
So it'll be good to
at the moment, no, but I can get back to you on this one. Yeah.
Right. I think there's a question on, really looking at the plant meat space and looking at a lot of your plant protein based solutions for plant meat. So if you're in India, how do I go about developing a plant based high moisture meat product, for example? Do you have facilities where we can take trials? Or how do you work with customers in this space?
I think good. I think that's an excellent question, because we reach out to our India team, and if there are things that they will not be able to do it here, we are actually in Singapore. We are working a lot on these the mock meat, or the impossible meat, or even things like a vegetarian. I don't know. KFC has actually launched in Malaysia. Trying to find the name. It's called as Tindal chicken. So it's basically it's white meat, but it's actually developed from plant-based protein. So we are doing a lot of work in that. So I would definitely encourage, if there is an interest in that, reach out to our India team, and then they will basically come back to you on the offerings. Yeah.
Right. No, I think this is great. I think, this is a great set of questions that also you're getting, which is probably giving a flavor of the kind of work that's happening in the industry. And I think it's absolutely the right thing to do is to be able to collaborate with companies such as yourselves, and how do companies work with you? Yeah. I would, I don't know, Abhinav, do you have anything else to add on this, or I will then just close the session?
No, just nothing more to add. Just wanted to thank Rohit to partner with us. I mean, really privileged to have Ingredion as a gold partner for the India Food and Nutrition Innovation Summit. And now, since we have associated, we look forward to collaborating further with you in future engagement and activities.
Absolutely. No. I mean, look, Rinka and Abhinav, thank you for this opportunity, and I really hope that when we have this next, it's probably going to be more face to face rather than virtual.
Absolutely.
So I think we're all waiting that and in 2022 this could be more of a real yeah.
Yeah, and like always, it's a pleasure speaking with you, Rohit, and thank you so much for bringing about what Ingredion as a company can do for the industry. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions. Please do reach out at the booth, as well as reach out to the people who are there. The presentation is available with us, so we can, of course, send it up across to whoever is registered with us. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and look forward to staying in touch.
And all the best for the rest of your sessions. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, we have a last session just in 12 minutes from now.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, Rohit. Take care.